Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my continuation of my book reading of Shawshank Redemption. Now, you're asking yourself if all this came about just because Andy told Byron how to save taxes on his windfall inheritance. The answer is yes and no. You can probably figure out what happened for yourself. Word got around that Shawshank was housing its very own pet financial wizard. In the late spring and the summer of 1950, Andy set up two trust funds for guards who want to ensure a college education for their kids. He advised a couple of others who wanted to take small flyers in common stock, and they did pretty damn well as things turned out. One of them did so well, he was able to make an early retirement 2 years later. And I'll be damned if he didn't advise the warden himself, old lemon lips George Donaghy, on how to go about setting up a tax shelter for himself. That was just before Donaghy got the bum's rush, and I believe he must have been dreaming about all the millions his book was going to make for him. By April of 1951, Andy was doing the tax returns for half the screws at Shawshank, and by 1952, he was doing almost all of them. He was paid in what made the prison's most valuable coin, simple goodwill. Later on, after George Thomas took over the warden's office, Andy became even more important. But if I tried to tell you the specifics of just how, I'd be guessing. There are some things I know about, and others I can only guess at. I know that there were some prisoners who received all sorts of special considerations. Radios in their cells, extraordinary visiting privileges, things like that. And there were people on the outside who were paying for them to have those privileges. Some people are known as angels by the prisoners. All at once, some fellow would be excused from working in the plate shop on Saturday afternoons, and you know that fellow had an angel out there who'd cough up a chunk of dough to make sure it happened. The way it usually works is that the angel will pay the bribe to some middle-level screw, and the screw will spread the grease both up and down the administrative ladder. Then there was a discount auto repair service that laid Warden Donaghy low. It went underground for a while and then emerged stronger than ever in the late 50s. And some of the contractors that worked at the prison from time to time were paying kickbacks to the top administration officials. I'm pretty sure that the same was almost certainly true of the companies whose equipment was bought and installed in the laundry and in the licensed plate shop and the stamping mill that was built in 1963. By the late 60s, there was also a booming trade in pills, and the same administrative crowd was involved in turning a buck on that as well. All of it added up to a pretty good-sized river of illicit income, not like the pile of clandestine bucks that must fly around a really big prison like Attica or San Quentin, but not peanuts either. And money itself became a problem after a while. You can't just stuff it in your wallet and then sell out a bunch of crumpled 20s and dog-earned 10s when you want a pool built in your backyard or an addition put on your house. Once you get past a certain point, you have to explain where that money came from. And if your explanations aren't convincing enough, you had to wind up wearing a number yourself. So, there was a need for Andy's services. They took him out of the laundry and installed him in the library. But if you want to look at it another way, they never took him out of the laundry at all. They just sent him to work washing dirty money instead of dirty sheets. He funneled it into stocks, bonds, tax-free, you name it. He told me once, about 10 years after that day on the plate shop roof, that his feelings about what he was doing were pretty clear, and that his conscience was relatively untroubled. The rackets would have gone on with him or without him. He had not asked to be sent to Shawshank, he went on. He was an innocent man who had been victimized by colossal bad luck, not a missionary or a do-gooder. Besides, Red, he told me with that same half grin, what am I doing in here isn't all that different from what I was doing outside. I'll hand you a pretty cynical example. The amount of expert financial help an individual or company needs rises in different proportions to how many people that person or businesses is screwing. The people who run this place are stupid, brutal monsters for the most part. The people who run the street world are brutal and monstrous, but they happen not to be quite as stupid, because the standard of competence out there is a little higher. Not much, but a little. But the pills, I said, I don't want to tell you your business, but they make me nervous. Reds, uppers, downers, numbutals. Now they got these things they call phase 4s. I won't get anything like that, never have. No, Andy said, I don't like the pills either, never have. I'm not much of one for cigarettes or booze either. But I don't push the pills, I don't bring them in, and I don't sell them once they are in. Mostly it's the screws who do that. But, yeah, I know, there's a fine line there. When it comes down to Red, some people refuse to get their hands dirty at all. That's called sainthood, and the pigeons land on your shoulders and crap all over your shirt. The other extreme is to take a bath in the dirt and deal any goddamn thing that will turn a dollar, guns, switchblades, big H, what the hell. You ever had a con come up to you and offer you a contract? I nodded. It happened a lot of times over the years. You are, after all, a man who can get it. And they figure if you can get them a 9-volt battery for their transistor radio or a carton of Luckies or a lid of reefer, you can put them in touch with a guy who'll use a knife. Sure you have, Andy agreed, but you don't do it. Because guys like us, Red, we know there's a third choice. An alternative to staying Simon Pure or bathing in the filth and the slime. It's the alternative that grown-ups all over the world pick. You bounce off your walk to hog wallow against what against you. You choose the lesser of two evils and try to keep your good intentions in front of you. And I guess you judge how well you're doing by how well you sleep at night. And what your dreams are like. Good intentions, I said, and laughed. I know all about that, Andy. A fellow can toddle right off to hell on that road. Don't you believe it? He said, growing somber. This is hell right here in the shank. They sell pills and I tell them what to do with the money. But I've also got the library, and I know over 24 guys who have used the books in here to help them pass their high school equivalency tests. Maybe when they get out of here, they'll be able to crawl off the shit heap. When we needed that second room back in 1957, I got it because they want to keep me happy. I work cheap. That's the trade-off. And you got your own private quarters. And with that, I'm going to end it here for this part of the book reading. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.